Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, I'm not sure what the project today is going to be, but we're going to have something. Actually, I got an idea. We'll get to that here, but I wanted to address something here that's kind of cool. I'm relatively new still at this YouTube thing, been doing it a couple months and have a small following, but I have received a couple of gifts along the way, and I'm truly appreciative of that. Thank you very much, those of you who have donated items to the Global Domination headquarters here, so that I can continue to pump out projects and show you how to do things and you know, that sort of stuff. So I don't have it with me here right now, but my sister, she gave me a really nice apron and a couple of cooking tools that I've used to make bread. And the other day, my buddy Robert Roy gave me this magnet light, which I've used several times. I've featured it in a couple of my videos, and I've actually learned how to use some backlighting to get a little bit better focus. This I purchased myself, but I don't know if you watched my scooter video. I could have used this. It would have been nice to fill up the rear drive unit on it. But I received this package in the mail, and well, it's shipped from Japan. I'll cover up the address here, but I know who sent it to me. But I've seen one of my buddies do this. He does what's called mail call. So let's open this up, and we'll show you what we got here. First, when I saw the writing on here, I thought it was from China. I order a lot of stuff from China because it's cheap, such as this. It's cheap and got here pretty quick. It's really amazing. How quickly they ship things from China and how reasonable. Well, there we go. Look at that. It's a nice Japanese. I'm talking about China. It's a nice Japanese. I had China on my dang mind. A nice Japanese screwdriver set. And this has JIS tips. Made in Japan. Now it's kind of funny. I'm not an old guy. I'm not young, but I remember made in Japan used to mean it was crap when I was a kid. A lot of people had that mindset. Made in Japan meant it was crap. Now that's a quality. That means it's quality. And these are JIS tip screwdrivers. And if you've watched my channel before, I've explained that, oh, they're magnetic too. Look at that. There is a difference between Phillips and JIS screws. So I work on a lot of Japanese motorcycles. So Phillips screwdrivers will take out the screws, but what happens is they cam out, it's called. So when you put the tip in there and you turn it, the screwdriver pushes up and out of the screw head, and it tends to strip them out. And if you don't know that they are JIS screws, which, you know, not everyone is born knowing everything. I definitely didn't know that. You know, you just think that they're crappy screws, but the fact is that they use just a slightly different angle on these. I would like to, maybe one of these days I'm going to do just to sit down and show some different tools and explain a few things. That's a pretty good idea for a video, so don't steal that idea from me. But thank you very much to my viewer. I know who it is. Actually, he put his name on here instead of mine. I appreciate this. These will definitely go to good use around here. That's a nice set. Awesome. All right, well, let me get some stuff set up out here, and I'll show you what we're going to do in the Global Domination headquarters. I'm going to show you a little craft project today. Today we're going to do some pallet projects. Make some stuff out of some old pallets. There was 3 pallets a friend of mine had. I drove over and picked them up the other day. They've been sitting here, so I'm going to show you how I get these apart to use the wood. And this is pretty nice. They look like oak pallets, maybe. Pretty nice, and they're not too beat up. You just gotta watch, because like that one's cracked, and usually the backs of them get pretty beat up. This one's not in too bad a shape, but we'll try to get it apart and see what we can use out of it. I'm not that creative with these things. I've seen some people get really creative with them, but I'm not the most creative, but I got a few things I've made out of them. When it comes to getting these things apart, if you want to use the individual boards, I've tried all kinds of ways to get them apart. And usually if you use a hammer and a crowbar, you end up breaking them. So I tend to like to use the Sawzall with the metal cutting blade, and then just get behind the nails and cut them off. And you can see it goes pretty quick, so I'm gonna get this thing all tore down and we'll see what we got. I got 3 pallets cut up here. So as you can see here, I'm making some boxes. I'm making little planter boxes out of these. So out of 3 pallets I've got, let's count them together, boys and girls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11. Now I say about because what we're gonna have to do is we gotta get creative. So this one's cracked here, so we're gonna have to cut it off. Some more there. And a lot of them, the ends are messed up. If you look at this one, it's really warped badly. That one's got kind of a odd chunk out of it. This one's cracked throughout the whole thing, really. But if it's mostly solid, it'll be okay. This one's got a split on it here. And then the other thing that you have to think about is that I need ends for each of these, so I'm gonna need at least, whatever that is, about 8 inches, I guess. So that means I'm gonna have to cut, well, ideally, if I cut 8 inches off here, then that would give me 2 8-inch sections to complete the end caps. So if I'm gonna make a bunch of them, it would be nice if they were all about the same size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure, there you go. I'm gonna measure all these out and find out which one will be the shortest. And then if it's just too short, then I might just make one short one and then make the rest of them all the same size. So let me get a tape measure and start going through, and we'll figure it out. And then I had a couple extra boards here too. This one is really broken. That one's got a big chunk out of it. But these might be better than some of those other ones. So I'm just gonna have to triage, right? Sort them out and decide which ones are the ones worth saving or most worth saving. So let me do a little bit of sorting and measuring, and we'll get back to starting to cut these things. After taking a look at all these and figuring the best way to maximize the amount of planter boxes I could make with the least amount of wasted wood, I came up with about 23.5 inches. Seemed to get the majority of the busted up pieces off of these and still have enough to make the ends. So this should work out pretty good. So let me show you how I cut these to make it easy. Now, since these aren't like a precision product, it doesn't matter if they're perfect. But what I do is I put them on the chop saw here. Let's make sure you can see this pretty good. There you go, it's not bad. I put them on the chop saw. I line up one edge of them, whichever edge is the best edge, and I try to put the worst edge on my scrap side. I measure it to 23.5. which makes them about 24 overall, just a little bit more than 24 with the end caps on them. They're going to be just a little bit over 2 feet wide. And as long as this edge is all flush over here, then when I cut this, I'll have the bottom and the two sides exactly all the same size. And these can be used for the ends. Let me show you a couple of them that I've already cut. So the bottom and the sides, and then the cut pieces off of these sides are used for the ends. And those just got to get cut down to the right size. So I'm going to cut all these down, and then we'll start assembling them and cutting these ends. There's just a few too many shadows outside to show you how to put this thing together out there, so we'll try to do it here on my workbench. I'm going to be using my air nailer here, and what I've got in here is 1.5 inch long staples, and I've used just regular brads too, but these staples seem to work pretty good. Now what I like to do, this is all used lumber, but I've cut these nails off and I just leave them in there because actually it looks kind of neat after it sits outside for a while, at least in my opinion. Everyone has their own opinion, right? But these nails kind of start to rust and they leave a little stain thing on there. It looks kind of nice to me. So I like to put all the nail heads on the outside. Now part of the challenge of putting these together is that since this is all used wood, hopefully you can see there's a gap down on this end. You see that? So you have to kind of finesse it when you're putting these together. And what I like to do is I like to start on one end, and none of this stuff is really square as it could be either, because it's weathered and been abused. So I like to just start on one end, put a brad or a staple, whatever you're using, a couple inches away from the end. And then try to make sure the other end is lined up. And what you might have to do sometimes is these boards have all kinds of warps and stuff in them. So sometimes what you have to do is just go down and put one down here about 8 inches down or whatever, 6-8 inches. And then another one, and you might have to push it up or down or hold the wood down. These are supposed to be kind of rustic outdoor planter boxes, so they don't have to be looking perfect. And then I put the other side on the same way. And another thing that you might want to do is check which side lines up better. Sometimes one side lines up better or just looks nicer, that sort of thing. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I got the two sides on, and when it comes to the end, what I like to do for the ends on these is I could just basically decide what a measurement is here and just cut all these, but some of these boards are thicker, thinner, and some of these are just a little bit different, so I didn't want to just go and wholesale cut all of these ends, so I just cut them individually. And what I do is I measure across the bottom, because if you look, I've measured across the bottom, and this is the same width as the bottom, but on the top it's different because these things bow out, bow in. So what you have to do is you have to attach the bottom first. So what I'm going to do, and this is not going to be easy on the camera here, so what I'll probably do is I'll just explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a staple from this end board into this bottom board. So I'm going to put 2 of them there, and then I will probably put one on the side, and then I will push this in or out whatever way I need to get it to match on the top, and then I'll do the same on the other side. You can probably see pretty well here what I'm talking about. Right there, see how that's sticking out? So once I put a staple in, and you can see this board, well, maybe you can see it, this board's got kind of a crooked, and they won't be perfect, But that's okay. These are kind of, like I said, supposed to be kind of rustic and outdoors. So let me get this end on. I'll show you what it looks like completed. Can you see this one, how it's sticking up like that? And this one here, it's actually in. So as I pull this out, see how that lines up now? So let me see if we can keep you on camera here. And I will pull this out while I put a staple in it. And try not to put a staple in my finger. And I'll push this one in just a little bit. And there we go. Pretty good. And that's what a completed one looks like. So let me get out here, knock the rest of these out, and I'll show you all the finished products. I feel pretty good about this. This is the pile of scraps. This is the pieces of wood that's just going to basically be used for probably going in a campfire. And then as my buddy does, here's the flyover shot. I think they turned out pretty nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put one together with some plants in it so you can see what the final product looks like. Not too shabby, huh? There we go, sunshine on my shoulders. Makes me happy. Thanks, John Denver. The nice thing about these succulents here is that every one of these I just trimmed off of the succulents that I already have. And if you put them in dirt, put a little bit of water on them for, I mean, literally 2 or 3 days, they're gonna grow roots. It doesn't take much, and then they don't require a lot. You give them a little spray of water a couple times a week, and you can grow from here. You can grow succulents for the rest of your life if you keep them going. So I like that. Easy to grow, easy to maintain. Made some nice planter boxes there with just a little bit of time and some staples. I mean, that's the amount of money I've got invested in it. Well, I mean, you don't want to look at how much all the tools cost. That doesn't count. But anyway, little stuff I like to do, and I've made several of these. I give them to people for gifts, and nobody's been sad about it, let me tell you that. Everyone I've given them to has been really excited. So if you want to come out and visit sometime, guess what you're going to get? No, you ain't going to get one of these. Well, maybe you will. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.